Hello, everyone. In this part of a session, we will continue our journey towards observability with Grafana. So, the agenda will going to be to understand Grafana, its architecture, the terminologies, and finally we are going to have 4 to 5 actual real live demonstrations on installing Grafana, checking the dashboard, taking Prometheus as a data source, creating dashboards, using some already available community-based dashboards. So it will going to be almost everything which you can do with multiple data sources. I'm going to take one reference of Prometheus, but you can use it for multiple data sources to create some wonderful dashboards. So when we talk about Grafana, so Grafana is an open source solution for query, collection, transformation, and visualizing your data wherever it is stored. So it ships with super user friendly dashboard, or rather I should say console. Using Grafana console, you can import community-based dashboards for visualizing your data. So Grafana also ships with the capability of alert management, which is getting attention at a greater pace in the industry today. So alert management is also something which is getting very famous with Grafana ecosystem nowadays. So Grafana can be set up in 3 different ways. So we have Grafana OSS, which is called open source, absolutely free. I have seen many organizations who are using it. So when you talk about custom cloud native, or rather I should say enterprise container orchestration softwares, Kubernetes based, whenever they are packaging, monitoring, alerting, dashboarding, majority of the time you will see they are using Grafana. So likewise, you are having Grafana Cloud, which is a SaaS offering. So you don't have to do anything. Everything will be managed by Grafana and you just have to pay for using their SaaS platform. And the third one is mostly where you will have everything on-prem. So this is called Grafana Enterprise. So for compliance purpose or for banking organizations or telco organizations where compliance are too much high and they don't want to use open source or want to leverage some of the features which are provided in the enterprise. So they always prefer on-prem because they want everything to be there in their own data center. So when you talk about Grafana as a solution, I think there are multiple places where people are using Grafana. Example, running your data analytics, pulling up metrics, visualizing your data, creating simple, customized, user-friendly dashboards for crystal clear observability. So these are the various places where you can use Grafana for any application. So any means most of the applications. Now, when you talk about the architecture, so there are two major components when you talk about the architecture of a Grafana. So one is called Grafana server and one is called data sources. So let's understand them now. When you talk about Grafana server, again, as I always say, Grafana server is a brain for the entire Grafana ecosystem, which is actually responsible for querying, collecting, transforming, and visualizing your data. I'm again rephrasing these 4 keywords because this is all what Grafana can do. You can query, you can collect, you can transform, and then you can create wonderful dashboards, visualization. And when you collect it together, it is actually a core principle of SRE. But the question is from where the data will come. This data will come from the underlying systems. And for that, it uses a layer called data sources. So Grafana will not going to have the data inside it. No, it is actually going to take that using something called data sources. And remember one thing, which majority of the people sometime fail to understand. So Grafana don't store any data. So it actually is not going to store any data for you. It is actually going to take the stored data using data sources. Right now, again, Grafana server will not going to store any data for you. It is actually going to take the data which is already stored in the underlying system with the help of data sources. These data sources can be MySQL, it can be Prometheus, it can be Loki, it can be Zabbix, it can be Elasticsearch, or it can be there are bunch of support to the data sources which are available for Grafana. Now, it doesn't mean that if you are using Elasticsearch, you cannot use Grafana. The functionality, the purpose of Elasticsearch is altogether a different. You are actually going to dump your logs there, but for observability, you are having Grafana. Prometheus, you want metrics. So you take metrics, you are not interested in the dashboard of Prometheus, you are having Grafana. So now Grafana is one of the preferred choice for organizations to do the observability or to have the entire observability of their entire stack, including anything, right? And this all is possible just because we have the support of data sources, right? So now when you talk about Grafana, now Grafana, as I say, it does three different things. So internally, you will be having a query and transformation. So you can query the data via Grafana server to the underlying systems, or if that is not compatible, even you can transform that data so that it is compatible with Grafana, and you can have wonderful dashboards out of that transformation. So you can query, you can transform, and finally that data is being used to create, some fancy dashboards which most of the C-level people are interested in checking or in observing. So this is how the entire ecosystem of Grafana actually works, right? So again, Grafana server and data sources, these are the two major things. Underlying, there are multiple data sources. Few of them are mentioned in this slide, but there are n number of data sources which Grafana supports. And once you have those data sources where the data is there, then you can query and transform that via data sources from your Grafana server. And then you can create dashboards out of it. Now, when you talk about terminologies, again, one of the most important part. Now, I'll just place all them in a slide. So data sources, dashboards, explore, import, export dashboards, panels, graphs, visualization, alerting, and built-in RBAC. So the spelling of RBAC is wrong. So the RBAC. Now what I'll do is, I think better, there should not be the mistakes, right? So RBAC. Now what I'm going to do is, again, instead of just telling you that what all these things are, better I can just come here on a blackboard and try to explain you that how this entire ecosystem actually works. Now, when you talk about data sources, now data sources are like agents, right? They are agents which are responsible so that your Grafana server can actually play around with that data. So you are having a Grafana server. So this is my Grafana server. So I'm just writing GS. So the Grafana server will actually going to take the things from data sources. This is my data sources. So you can say data sources is a medium via which Grafana will going to take the data of the underlying system. So in this case, I'm primarily talking about Prometheus because we are already having a Prometheus. So Prometheus will going to be my data source, and I'm going to take whatever data Prometheus is actually taking from my nodes, from my servers. So I'm going to integrate my Prometheus with Grafana. So data source will going to be Prometheus. Now this is my Grafana server. When you talk about Grafana server, again, you can query and you can transform and you can create something called dashboards. So we can create something called dashboards. So when you talk about creating a dashboards, we are actually talking about certain terms. Now those terms, now I'll take this and I'll just write it here. So you will going to hear people will say panels. You will see people will say graphs. You will see people will say something called visualization. Now, these are the three things which are actually related to a dashboard. Now, when you talk about a panel in a Grafana dashboard, you people are going to see multiple small windows which are actually showing you multiple things. I'm just creating like this. I'll change the color and I'll come here. Let's say this is memory, this is CPU, this is node, let's say uptime. This is your disk information. This is network information. Let's say this is service details. And likewise, some X thing, X thing, X thing. So now this dashboard is actually, it consists of multiple panels. So these are panel number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can have n number of panels. Now, in fact, you can categorize these panels. You can create something called rows here. So let's say system information, row 1. So row 1 will be having multiple panels. You can hide that, you can display that. Second, you can have row 2. Likewise, you can have row 3. So your dashboard is the entire ecosystem, which is having multiple rows. Rows consist of multiple panels. Panels is a place where you are going to see wonderful dashboards, wonderful visualizations. Now question comes, what is graph and what is visualization? So when you talk about graph is a commonly used visualization that display data as points or lines or bars. So whatever you see here, right, that is actually a graph. But how graph is getting created? Graph is actually getting created with the help of visualization. So you are having a data, you are running queries on top of it, and you are gathering that data and representing it in the visual form. This is called visualization. So visualization is a graphical representation of the query results which we are running. So dashboard, rows, panels, graphs, and visualization. So your dashboard will actually going to have these things. Now, when you talk about this Grafana server on the console of right now again, when you talk about the console, this console of Grafana, so you can have multiple dashboards there. Dashboard for Prometheus, dashboard for Elasticsearch, dashboard for Zabbix, dashboard for MySQL, dashboard for Postgres, and so on and so forth. But there are multiple other things also which are available on the Grafana console. Now, one thing which I would like to focus here is a section called Explore. Now, we have already seen in the previous session, I showed you Prometheus and I showed you the console of Prometheus and we people were running the queries from there. Now you can run the same thing from your explore section. You need not to have a separate console of Prometheus and go there and then do the things. No, you can use this explore. This explore will help you to run the queries. So it will take your query and it will actually going to go to the Prometheus. Under the hood, it will run that and show you the results here itself. So using this queries, this explore section and running these queries only, we people are actually creating graphs and visualizations and then putting them in the rows or in the panels and creating the entire dashboards. Now, one more thing which is available here. Now, since last 1.5 to 2 years, Grafana is coming up with very solid alert management ecosystem as well. Now we have seen the alert management is available with Prometheus as well. But you will not see people talk about Prometheus alerting mechanism quite often. But when you talk about Grafana alert management, Grafana team is putting really good efforts in order to make this a success. Because as we know that if there are less tools in our ecosystem, probably it will be helpful for us to maintain them. And hence you can use Grafana for your alerting ecosystem as well as for your entire observability stack. Likewise, there are a couple of more things which comes inbuilt with open source, especially open source Grafana. So you get a local RBAC as well. So you have a concept of users, teams, organizations. I'm just writing users, teams, and organizations. Right? So you can create users, pack them in a team, assign them to the organizations. And then you can give multiple different roles also. In fact, there is something called service account also. If you want internal communication to happen, you can create something called service accounts as well. Right? So when we talk about this entire ecosystem, so number one, we are having data sources. Number two, we are having dashboards. Dashboards will going to have your panels, graphs, and visualizations. You are having something called explore. You are having something called alert management, and you are having something called RBAC. So these are the 8 primary keywords which you people will see in the dashboards, and you will hear it from most of the people who are working in Grafana. Right? And this is all what I have explained or have kept all these things here itself. Now, if you see here, this is all what I have done. This import export dashboard is something. Now, community is creating some dashboards and they actually give it to the Grafana. So you can actually download that, which has been built by community, and you can use it. We are going to take a look of this import part of the dashboard in the last demo of this session. Right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give you multiple things in demonstration. So these are the 5 different demos which I am planning to demonstrate live in front of you. So I'm going to set up a Grafana. I'm going to go through a dashboard walkthrough so that you people can see how thing works. We will going to go to integrate our Prometheus, which is already in place with Grafana. Then I'm going to show you the inbuilt dashboard, which comes with the inbuilt data source. And then finally, I'm going to take some community-based dashboard and going to export it and show you how good observability graphs or dashboards we people can create. So let's get started. Now, like I showed you Grafana, sorry, Prometheus. Likewise, if you go to grafana.com, you are going to see the entire things over here. Now, if you see, these all are observability stacks or graphs. So if you come to this open source section, you will be able to see something called Grafana. Now, if you see here, even they have changed it, query, visualize, and alert, because they are actually working pretty hard on alert management. So now if you see here, Grafana, if I'll click here, it will actually going to take me to the entire documentation of this. Now, if you see this download, right? So I'll just click here and you will be able to see the download part. Now, if you, this will going to tell you which version. So I'm just going to take the second last version. Again, it's my best practice. I always take care of the second last one because I don't know what all things have been there in the new one. So we'll take the second last one. And from enterprise, we are going to change it to OSS, which is open source. Scroll down. We wanted to install it on a Linux. So you can install it on Windows, on a container, on ARM64 based hardware, or on Mac. So I am going to do it on Linux. So if you see here, these all are the things which I need to run. So I need to add one user. I need to get this Debian package. So this package on Ubuntu. And then finally, I have to just install this package. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go back to our master server, SRE master, where Prometheus is already running. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just run these commands. So I'm going to add a user. I'm going to download that package and I'm going to install that package. Once that package is installed, see here, it is getting installed. Let us wait. Once it is installed, it will actually going to create one service called Grafana-server. See this. So what we need to do is we need to start this service. So we'll start this service. You can do /bin systemctl or you can just do systemctl because it's a part of a path. So I'll come here, done. I'll enable it so that after reboot, my Grafana should come up automatically. And once done, I'm going to check this systemctl status Grafana server. Now, if you see here, my Grafana is up and running from past 15 seconds. Now, like we were having 9090 port for the console of Prometheus, likewise, we are having port number 3000, which is for Grafana. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'll come back here. So I'll take our same IP because this is the same server where I have installed Grafana. I'll come here and I'll do port number 30,000. Now, if everything is okay, we will be able to see our Grafana console. And by default, it actually comes up with a username and password. And that username and password is admin. So username is admin, password is admin. And as soon as I log in, it will prompt me to change my password. So I'm going to change my password and I'll put something called blah blah. And I'll say submit. And here we go. All done. Our Grafana is up and running. This is Grafana console. Now, if you see here, if I come back, how easy it is to do a setup of Grafana. Again, considering some of the best practices of production, there are multiple other things which we need to consider. But to get started with the things, this is a bare minimum stuff which you have to do to get started with Grafana. Now let us go to the second demo, which is dashboard walkthrough. So I'll come back here. Now this seems to be a very simple page. Now this is just a landing page. If you come here, this section, you will see multiple things here. Now this is a home page. It will tell you, you can customize it entirely. It's completely up to you. If you see here, you can remove things, you can add things. So you can do whatever. Landing page is completely up to you. But this is a default landing page. Now when you come here, so if you are having multiple dashboards, you want to give priority to some. So that is called starred. So if you see here, we haven't given any stars or we haven't prioritized anything. So there is nothing here. So these two are generic sections, right? There is nothing. So these two are generic sections. This dashboard. This is a place where you are going to see everything, every dashboard. At present point in time, there is no dashboard. If you see here, there is no dashboard at all because we haven't created anything. So if I remove this start, you will be able to see something called general. If I click here, this is a folder. Inside this folder, there is nothing. We don't have any dashboard at all at present point in time. Come back. Now, if you see this explore, this is the section via which you can run your queries. I'll run the queries when I'll integrate the Prometheus to show you how you can query Prometheus data using Grafana. By default, if you click here, even you will be able to see something called Grafana here. See this. So this is just a dummy random walk data source. So if you see this Grafana, these are the data sources. See here. Now you can run query here. You can add query. You can put whatever you wanted to run, right? Come here, lines, bars. You can have points, stacked lines, stacked bars, and so on and so forth. This will make sense when we are going to have a real data source. Now this is just to tell you that via this explore section, you can run the queries. It is exactly like this section, exactly like this query section of Prometheus. And you will see similar thing when we'll integrate Prometheus with our Grafana. Next is see this alerting ecosystem. Now this is something where Grafana is putting more of their efforts. So they want Grafana not only to be a leader in observability or dashboarding, they want it to be a leader in the alerting ecosystem as well, so that customers can use a single tool for their alerting ecosystem as well as for their observability stack. So if I click here, you will be able to see multiple things, and they have given some quick videos so that you people can actually understand how this entire ecosystem of alerting will work. So you create rules, you add instances, you create notification policies, you get that, assign it to someone or integrate it with ticketing tool, right? Ticket get assigned to your SRE person, they start working on it, close it, all done. So you have that capability of generating alerts in Grafana as well. And it is one of the hot topics for Grafana nowadays. Next is connection. Now, this is a place from where you are going to see your data sources. See here. Now, these all are the data sources. If I just click on this ad just to show you, you will be able to see all these data sources. See here, Prometheus, Graphite, InfluxDB, OpenTSDB, Locky, Elasticsearch, Jaeger, Tempo, Zipkin, right? See here, multiple MySQL, Postgres, Azure, CloudWatch, even the monitoring ecosystem. See this, multiple data sources. It means if you want data from these places, you just need to enable them, all done. Right? This is what data sources will do. This is how we are going to actually do the integration of Prometheus as well with Grafana in some time. Come back. The next part is administration. Now, this is a place where you are going to see multiple things. If you see this, users, teams, organization, service accounts, see here your stats and license policies, settings for your Grafana configuration. If you click here, it will be the by default configuration via which your Grafana has been started, like you were having etc default Prometheus. See here. So you can change them as and when you required from the uh, CLI part, right? So you will be able to see all the admin things over here. If I click on this user at present point in time, there will be only one user called admin. But you can create user, you can team up them, and you can give it to an organization. You can create different organizations and so on and so forth, right? So you are going to see all. So now out of them, if you truly ask me, dashboard and explore, this is something which is primary for observability. And you will see people will just play around with these two tabs only in real production, because user data sources, these all are one-time activities. Once done, hardly you will see 5 to 10% of the times a new data source will come, or a new user will come, or some permission changes are required. Most of the time you are going to play around with dashboards and explore. Now, as alerting is also coming and you people are not having any alerting mechanism in place and you are using Grafana for that, then probably these three sections will going to make more sense. So you should focus on understanding these three sections, right? I'll come back again here to home and I'll scroll back here. So this was dashboard walkthrough. Next is integrating Prometheus with Grafana. So we are already having a Prometheus. We already set up the Grafana. Now in our case, both servers are same, right? But you can have different server for Prometheus, different server for Grafana, but their connectivity should be there, right? So you have to take care of all of the network part so that Grafana and Prometheus can talk to each other. And that is true for any data source which you are going to integrate with Grafana. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate Prometheus with Grafana. So I'll come back again to the dashboard. I'm not going to do anything with CLI now. Come back, come to the connections. Under connections, come to this data source. Under data source, you will be able to see add data source. So it means there is no data source which has been added so far. So I'll just click on add data source. Once you do it, you will be able to see multiple data sources here. And if you see here, Prometheus is at the top. So what I need to do is I just need to click this Prometheus. I just need to click this. And as soon as I click it, see here, data source added. Now it will open one form, and in this form, I need to put all the details, whatever is required. Example, if you see here, the name will going to be Prometheus. Scroll down, see this Prometheus server URL. In my case, it is localhost only, but I will take the IP address so that I can show you that if you are having any other Prometheus server, you just have to take the IP or DNS. If it is resolvable, then come back, put here http / accessible on 9090. As if you see here, authentication. By default, Prometheus won't come with any authentication. In case you are having any authentication, you need to enable that and you need to give username, password, or CA certificate, or TLS certificate, or whatever things you have used to set up the authentication. In our case, it is open, so I'm not using any of these. So example, if it is username, password, you just tick here and you have to give username and password. This is what usually you see in production. Scroll down, scroll down. Scrap interval, again, it is 15 seconds. Query timeout, 60 seconds. So these all are the default values. Let us keep them all. Now, if you see here, Prometheus type. Click here. Prometheus type is Prometheus. We are using Prometheus as a data source. Scroll down, Prometheus version. Now, I'll again go back to the Prometheus dashboard. I'll go back to the runtime and you will be able to see we are using 2.31. So what I'll do is come back, see this. There are multiple, so I'm going to use 2.31. It have automatically, taken that. Now it's here, 2.31. Scroll down, scroll down. We don't want to put anything else. What you have to do is save and test. If everything is okay, connectivity is there, username, etc., everything matched, see here, you will get this answer. Successfully queried the Prometheus API. It means my data source is able to communicate with my underlying Prometheus system. See this. If you are getting error here, troubleshooting will start. And usually it is network, usually it is credentials, usually it is certificates, which you have to take care of majority of the time. If I go back to this data source again, here, connections, and if I go to data source, you will be able to see Prometheus here. Now let me come back and show you this query part, explore. If you go to explore, and if you come under these are data sources, you will be able to see Prometheus here now. Click, see here, Prometheus came. Now what you need to do, say this, select a matrix, come here. Let's say I'm typing up. See here, this up will come here. See this up. Take it. You can use labels. Example, let's say I'll say job is, let's say, node. And what I'll do is I'll say run query. As soon as I do it, see here, you come to lines, it will show you. See here, there are two. One is localhost, one is the other one. See this. So if you click here, right, if you come here to the bars, see this, come to the points. Now it is not showing you two because it is all same. Let us use memory active bytes and run a query. Scroll down, see this. Two systems. See here, this is your local host and this is your 54.175.220.102. You can check that as a line. See here, this is what your Prometheus was showing you, right? Even if you scroll here, last 6 hours, I'll make last 15 minutes. See this. Now come here, you can use it as a bar, points, stacked lines, stacked bar. It all depends upon you. And now you can save it as a panel. Now this is visualization. I'm creating a graph out of it and I'm putting it, if I'll save it and I'll put it as a panel. Now, if you see here, same thing you were doing here in Prometheus, but Prometheus was just a simple console. But when you talk about Grafana, it gives you lots of things which you people can do, right? This is where Grafana adds lots of value in terms of features. And it is a solution for everything, not like Prometheus, only for Prometheus. No, it is for any data source which it supports, right? Now, when I come here, see here, we integrated Prometheus with Grafana. It's time to actually take and see how dashboarding happens. Come back here. I'll again come back to the dashboards. If you come here, there is no dashboard. Let me take a inbuilt generic dashboard which comes with Prometheus data source. So if you go back to the data sources, we have already installed Prometheus. If I click on this Prometheus, you people will be able to see one tab here called dashboards. Now, when I click on this dashboards, you people will be able to see a couple of things are there, and you will be able to see a section called import. This is the old one, so I'll not take this. This is having good details in it. So if you see here, Prometheus 2.0 stats. So what I'll do is I'll just import it. See here, dashboard imported. So if I go back to my dashboards now, and I come to this general section, if you see here, Prometheus 2.0 space stats is there. So if I click here, it will actually going to show me the dashboard. So come here, last 1 hour, I'll make it, let's say last 15 minutes. See this. Now, let me take even lesser time, 5 minutes. See here. Now this is a dashboard. This whole is a dashboard. And if you see, this is a panel. Now this is one panel. Now example, if you come down here, this is having no data, right? And let's say this val corruptions is having no data. Why? Because that query is not successful. So I can remove this. I'll come here. I'll say remove. This is a panel which I am removing. See this, it is removed. Even what I can do is I can play around with this. I can scroll them down. I can take panel here and there, right? And I can make it little more large. So whatever you wanted to do, you people can do with these panels. So this entire is a dashboard. This is one panel, two panel, three panel, four panels. If you see here, there is no row. So you can actually create a row also. If you come under here, this add section, come, let's say add a row. I'll say this row, come here, settings, I'll change a name. Let's say Thinknyx Yogesh test one. So I'm just giving it a name. See this. Now this become a row. I click here, everything is gone. See this. This dashboard is having a row, and this row is having multiple panels. Now these all are graphs. If you see here, these all are graphs. See, these all are graphs. From where these graphs are coming? Example, if I, let's say, tick on this one, you will be able to see something called edit here. If I edit it, it will actually going to take me to explore. Now this explore section, if you see here, we are running queries. These all are Prometheus queries. See this. Now this is a simple Prometheus query. And if you see here, this is function. This function is running this query. And after that, we are doing a filtration. So this is actually the same thing which we understood. Prometheus QL is having data types, operators, and functions. So if you see here, this is function. This is this entire is expression, and this thing is called filtering. Right now, you are running a query. So this is your query, and this query is giving you something, is giving you some visualization. This is visualization. Now you can change this. Example, if you come here, see this time series, I'll change it. I want it in a bar chart. Or if it is not supported, then stat chart. You come here, I want it in a gauge. I want it in a bar gauge, and so on and so forth. Let me come here and show you this one. This probably will be more useful for you to observe. So what I want is I want bar chart. See here. So you just change the type of your graph. Come here, I want stat. See this. Come here, I want gauge. And I'll just save it. Save, save, all done. Overwrite it, right? Come back to the dashboard. See here. So it completely depends upon you. Completely depends upon you what you want to do. Now see here, this is how you play around with the dashboards. Even there is now I'll give you one tip actually. So you are having something called Grafana Playground. This is what I do. If my customers ask me to create something extraordinary, I don't reinvent the wheel. What I do is I'll come here and I'll ask them to choose what they want. Example, they want something like this, they want something like this, they want something like this, whatever they want. Right? Example, they want something similar to this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here and I'm going to go to edit. And I'll see what they have used. They have used time series. And if you see here, these all are the bunch of options they have used. These all are the bunch of options they have used. You can play around with it, change it, see here, change it, make it little less, little more, whatever. Because this is just a playground. So you take the details from here and you create your own things in a way you want. So this is something which is very useful. I just wanted you people to make a note of this play.grafana.org. This is very useful. If you want to create super special observability dashboards and want to convince your end customers, this is very good place to play around with. So you can learn from here and you can apply it. Right? Next. Now I'll come back here. This is good. But there is another thing. You get lots of good already built community dashboards. You take them, you modify them as per your uh, requirements. Example, if I go back again here, right, I'll come back to grafana.com, right, I'll come to open source, Grafana, scroll down, right, and you will be able to see something called dashboards. So click here and it will actually going to take you to the community driven dashboard. See here, tons of dashboards are there. 7,017 dashboards which have been built by community and many vendors, right? Example, if you see data source, I want to see the data source as Prometheus. See this. So if you see here, these all are the data sources. See this. Even I don't know these many technologies. Now, these all data sources are available. So if you come here, you will be able to see something called Prometheus. As soon as I do it, if you see here, the search became from 7,000, it is 3,994. Now you can check example, something related to, if you go down, even if you come here, we can save, let's say number of reviews. So I'll just doing, right? If you come here, see this node exporter full, node exporter dashboard, dashboard.en, blah, 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 all these things. So what you have to do, example, just click here and they will actually going to give you all the details here. See this, they will just going to give you details here that this is how it will going to look like. See this is how things will going to look like and so on and so forth. Now I know one which particularly I have used many a times. I'll search for that. I think that is 110. This one. Node exporter for Prometheus dashboard based on this 110. So this is a good one actually, 11074. This one is a good one. If I click here, so see here, this is actually a good dashboard. I use it many a times. It's sitting on many of my customers' Grafana dashboard. So this is a very good one. So what you have to do is you just need to copy this ID or just remember this ID 11074. So I'm just copying it. What I need to do, I need to go back to the Grafana. Come back to the dashboard. Now, if you see here, this section is new. In the older version, you will see here itself, import. But in the newer version of Grafana, if you see, there is a section called new. You will be able to see something called import. Click on this import. Come back here. Copy this. 11074. And what you need to do is you just need to load. Automatically, this is actually a JSON file. So it will automatically export it. And if you come here, see this, you will be able to see data source as Prometheus. So tell that I will going to have a Prometheus as a data source and import, all done. it will automatically going to import the complete details and will going to build a dashboard for you. See this. Now, if you see here, it is having almost everything. These are my two servers. See the name of the servers. Thinknyx Node 1 SRE Master. Uptime is 1.85 hours, 1.86 hours. 4 GB RAM, approximately 4 GB RAM. 2-core CPU, load is 0, means there is no much load. CPU utilization, memory utilization, partition, disk read, write, all these details. Come down, node level details. Even let me make it a little more, let's say 15 minutes, so that we can see more, or let's say 30 minutes. See this. See here. Your complete node details, average CPU, again memory details, disk, come here, uptime, CPU count, total memory, right? All these, see here. Whatever you want to change, you can change. Example, I don't want this to be displayed in this way. Come, edit, come here, show me in a, let's say, gauge. Save it or apply it. Come here. I don't want this to be displayed easily. Come here. I want this to be in a stat format. Come here, apply. I don't want this, or let's say this section, this one is good. Come here, come to edit, scroll here down. Let's say bar gauge. Apply. So if you see here, you have complete flexibility to play around with it and create whatever changes you want to create. Even you can add things. Come here, add a row. Click, put whatever things you wanted to put over here. Come here, even you can put a visualization. Put, save it. Even you can do a copy and other things as well. So if I discard it and I come here, let me remove this also. We don't need it. Now, if you see here, right click, come to more, see here, duplicate or copy. So you can replicate same thing, change whatever parameters you want to change and remove the old one. So these all things are possible when it comes to Grafana. And that's the reason Grafana is a default choice for many organizations when it comes to observability stack. Right? So with this, I end up this session.